Hello, hello. Welcome back to Final Album February. Today, we're taking a look at an album that isn't very good. We are taking a look at Emerson, Lake and Palmer's final album, In the Hot Seat, from 1994. And man, let me tell you, Emerson, Lake and Palmer is one of the best prog bands of all time, and it sucks that they went out with a whimper. Not even this is a wet fart. They shat this out. They sharded themselves with this one. It's not good. Um, Now, to give you some background on Emerson, Lake and Palmer, it was formed by Greg Lake, who was the vocalist on the first two King Crimson albums. Keith Emerson, who was the leader of the band The Nice, which is one of the first progressive rock bands, or some people say they're the first progressive rock band. Nah, I don't really think so. And then they were joined by drummer Carl Palmer, who had toured with Atomic Rooster. Now, there were rumors at the time that they formed, at least, that initially Jimi Hendrix was also going to be in the band, and then the band would have been called Help. That's bullshit. I'm pretty sure that's bullshit. That would have been cool as fuck, but it's bullshit. And then the band would have a wonderful career in the 70s, breaking up in the late 70s. Then, roughly a decade and a half of partial reunions, and in 1992 they came out with an album called Black Moon, which isn't as good as some of their 70s output, but it's decent. I find it rather enjoyable. And then in 1994, they made this piece of shit. It's not good. It's not good. Song number one, Hand of Truth. It sounds like a video game. There's very little organ. It's mostly contemporary synths. Almost sounds like an overture for a second. This is the most ELP-like song on this ELP album. This is the one that sounds the most like Emerson, Lake and Palmer. This sounds the most like Emerson, Lake and Palmer in the 90s when this came out. So, this feels like a logical evolution of Black Moon, which also sounded like ELP in the 90s. This for a second fools you into thinking that you're consistently gonna get stuff of, at the very least, that quality. You're not. Greg Lake doesn't really sound like himself anymore. It deepened over the course of 20-something years. And then, there's a solo that would have sounded cool in the 70s, but, sticks out like a sore thumb here with something made in the 90s. Also, I don't know how good this audio is going to be. It's rather windy outside, and it's 25 degrees. This is going to suck for me, folks. Both the listening experience and the video making experience. Second song is Daddy. This is the most memorable song from the album, mostly because it's the only one with a hook that's halfway decent. This sounds more like Phil Collins than ELP. It's about an actual murder in the 90s. I forget the name of the little girl who was killed. But it's about that. But it's not a very good song, frankly. It's halfway decent, but it's not great. It's not something I go out of my way to listen to. One by One is song number 3. It sounds like a video game again. It would sound better with a wider musical palette. Not bad, but not great either. And folks, it is at this point on the album where you have heard the best this thing has to offer. Everything else is just bad. Everything else is bad. Hard on Ice, it's painfully 90s. It feels like it feels like a contractual obligation, and it really does not sound like Emerson, Lake and Palmer. It sounds like 90s adult contemporary shit. It's not good. Thin Line, it starts with a god-awful fucking drum machine. It almost sounds like they want to do hip-hop, but then instead they do then they do a really bad imitation of soul, like soul music, and oh my Christ, it is awful. It is awful. Granted, I'd rather listen to this than Taylor Swift because these are people with actual talent, and I can tell there's actual instruments being played. But still, this is awful. Yeah, and then there's rather un-Greg Lake guitar. It's just not good. Song number 6, "Man in a Long Black Coat." It's very musically similar to Daddy. You know, it's another painfully 90s tune. "Change" actually sounds like Emerson, Lake and Palmer for the first 20 seconds, and then it's just, goes, it just sounds like the rest of the album. It's just generic 90s bullshit. It's not good. "Give Me a Reason to Stay," another shit 90s ballad. "Gone Too Soon" certainly doesn't, sum up my feelings on this album. This album is too damn long because it sucks ass, and I subjected myself to it, and everything sounds the fucking same. It's like ELP's take on a country song, and then there's like an actual Emerson, Lake and Palmer solo. It's not a good it's not a good song, but it was a brief 10 seconds of reprieve, that solo was. And then "Street War," it's another song from a video game. Its only redeeming quality is that's the last song in the album, so that you don't have to listen to this shit anymore. Don't bother. Don't listen to it. It's god awful. It's dog shit. There's moments that sound more like Genesis than ELP, and not in a good way. It's just bad. I don't think the band toured specifically for this album. They would tour in 1997. By 2000, they had basically called it quits. There was a reunion show in 2010, which is actually pretty decent. I will link that in the comment section down below. Greg Lake did a concert I think shortly before they toured. I think he did it in 95 or something. It was called A Concert for Sarah, I think, which I believe was the first name of the girl that Daddy's about. So he did, he did a couple of songs in that concert. It's 20 minutes. I'll find it and link that below as well. And then, after the ELP reunion in 2010, there was not a tour, there was not a new album. Greg Lake and Keith Emerson reunited for at least one tour in roughly 2013, I want to say. They might have done others, but I don't think so. And Greg Lake would die of, I believe, colon cancer, some form of cancer, in 2016. And Keith Emerson would kill himself later that same year, which leaves Carl Palmer as the only living member of the trio. And he does have an Emerson, Lake and Palmer legacy band, but they purely do instrumentals. He has two dudes. There's not an organist, which I guess makes sense. Because it's pretty hard with one person to replicate Keith Emerson's virtuosity and just insanity. But that's most of the time, when they don't have video screens, it's just the instrumentals, then it doesn't really sound like ELP. So I don't, again, maybe he has singers now, but when I was seeing videos of it, he didn't. So that's where I'm going to leave it. If you've enjoyed this video, please feel free to leave a like on it. If you have something to add, if your opinion differs, if you, find something redeeming in this album, please let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to read it. If you want to continue along this musical journey with me, please feel free to subscribe. If you want to hear me talk about something other than music, I have a podcast with two of my buddies. It's called Porkies. I will leave a link to that in the description down below. And if you want to hear what I happen to be listening to that day, or a 15-second segment at least, you can follow me on Instagram at Sean_Heaster1979. I post a 15-second segment of a song on my story there every single day. And with that, I would like to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. And remember to stay weird and keep jamming. Bye-bye.